Welcome, Last Place Podcast fans. On today's episode of Last Place Podcast, we're joined by Tyler Parsons, the GM of the Lansing Lugnuts. Yes, as in last week's Butts and Seats promo, Lansing Lugnuts. He gives us an insight into Purge Night, his stories about minor league baseball, and some really fun stories about J.J. Watt and Antonio Brown at Central Michigan. Anthony reveals a huge update for Anthony's Finds. We'll rattle off our top 5 sports movies and dig into some fun Butts and Seats promos as well. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at LastPlacePod. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and as always, let's roll it.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Palmeiro. A ground ball past Jenks up the middle of the infield. Uribe has it. He throws. Out! Out! A White Sox winner and a world championship. Puts it up in the right arm. Puts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line. It's still a touchdown. And the title for the Patriots. I can't believe. Here's the throw to the plate. He is safe. Brave win.
Welcome to the third episode of the Last Place Podcast, the Dwayne Wade episode, the third installment of the trilogy, the Revenge of the Sith. It is the Last Place Podcast. We appreciate you joining us. If you made it thus far in our episodes, thank you. And thank you for your patience with our goofiness. We greatly appreciate it. Tyler and Sam, how we doing?
Doing good.
Pretty
Played
good.
a little golf. Played a little golf this weekend. Yeah, hit the links.
Did you beat Dustin Johnson's score?
No, I did not win by 11 strokes. I shot a 100 instead. So
Better than me.
Yeah. So,
Pretty
getting out
good.
there, during these quarantine times, got to get out there, get a little fresh air, a little workout in.
Hey man, my fresh air, I had downloaded Pokemon Go again, so I am back on the grind.
Pokemon Go is back.
I
It's
am
funny.
back on the grind.
It's funny you say that, Sam. At the beginning of quarantine, I got back on the Pokemon grind.
Oh, same.
Pokemon Go grind.
It's amazing.
It got me a reason to walk around and get some exercise, and it got me out of bed to go for a walk because I'm like, I got to hatch these eggs.
Exactly.
Gotta find that Blastoise, man.
Yeah.
You have to.
Boy. So we will go ahead and get right into our interview. We had a very special interview with Tyler Parsons. He is the general manager of the Lansing Lugnuts. We brought him on specifically because of our segment last week in Butts and Seats where we discussed Purge Night. And we figured what better way to discuss Purge Night even better is to just bring on the guy who thought of it. And so we got into a great discussion with him and some of his experience in minor league baseball and also some MACtion as well. So let's go ahead and get straight into that interview. Welcome to the interview for our third episode of the Last Place Podcast. We are very excited to have Tyler Parsons here today. He is the general manager of the Lansing Lugnuts, which ties in fantastically with our conversation from last episode, where we discussed one of his great marketing theme ideas that him and his staff came up with. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, but we're very excited to have our first general manager on our podcast, and he has a great experience throughout his career and in minor league baseball and also in the MAC. So Tyler and I are very excited to get some MACtion on here as well. So Tyler, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and always down to talk some MACtion and some wild and crazy promo. So I appreciate you guys doing this.
Absolutely. So Tyler, why don't you can you just go ahead and give us a brief overview of your career thus far?
Yeah, kind of the Spark Notes version. Started my career at Central Michigan there. Actually, initially was one of the guys that started the Central Michigan rivals.com website back in the day, and kind of use that as an outlet to gain some exposure in the sports world and just kind of, create our own beast, and really got connected to CMU athletics. From there, I went and worked at Sacred Heart Academy for an internship, and an internship was a very vague term. I did everything from substitute teaching to coaching to weight room supervision to recess to secretary or wherever they needed me. Worked at Mid-Michigan Community College as they kind of started up athletics there. Brought it back after about a 25-year hiatus. We only had 4 programs, one of which didn't win a single game, which was our women's soccer team, which went 0-18 and only scored 10 goals the entire year, I think. Worked at Central Michigan for a couple of years as ticket sales coordinator in the marketing department. And from there, I ended up shooting down to Forest City, North Carolina. My first ever job in baseball. I was the director of fun. Had a chance to work for a guy named Jeremy Bowler, who's now the vice president for the Tennessee Smokies AA team, and a guy named Jesse Cole, who a lot of people know is Savannah Bananas, and wears the yellow tuxedo around. But Jesse pulled me over to Martinsville, Virginia to be a GM there. Was there for a year and had a lot of success in the Coastal Plain League, and then got petitioned to go over to Johnson City, Tennessee, to work for the St. Louis Cardinals rookie affiliate in Johnson City, Tennessee, and then spent 4 amazing years there, and told everyone I would never move back to Michigan, let alone near my hometown of Lansing. And here I am going into my 4th season now as general manager of the Lansing Lugnuts. So never say never, right?
Right.
Funny how that happens. Yeah, so I guess to start it right off, so obviously everyone kind of knows that minor league baseball is a grind and it's not really cut out for everybody. So I guess what do you love the most about working in minor leagues, and what makes you want to come to the ballpark excited every day?
Yeah, you're dead on. I think, minor league baseball, our season is a definite grind. We've got 70 home games, and I think what's really changed in the last 5 years or so is we've added, we've become more than just baseball venues. We've become full event venues where we're doing concerts and festivals and other sports and you name it. And really, for us, we have 70 home games. We go about another 200 plus events in a normal non-COVID year, of course. So what's always really got me going for minor league baseball has just been, number one, that every day is different. We get a chance to really kind of dive into new things, and because we're so open to other things beyond just sports and beyond baseball, that we're constantly at our gears and working on other ideas and other ways to generate revenue, and other ways to engage our communities. And I think the other reason that I always love minor league baseball, and I think this is more just in sports in general, but it sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's the people. I mean, you get a chance to meet guys or girls or anyone from different parts of the country or different parts of the state that come here and use baseball and use sports as an avenue to escape and have a couple of hours of entertainment to just kind of forget about whatever's going on in the world right now, and to come out and have fun and have smiles and, just kind of share in that overall experience and overall atmosphere. And I think, we in the sports industry have a great responsibility to offer an amazing experience for people to come out and enjoy and have a good time. And I think more than ever, as we kind of get past COVID here, at some point, that's going to be even more important, because I think people are realizing how much they miss sports and miss that escape and being able to come out and just kind of forget about things for a few hours and come together with all the people around them.
Awesome. All right, so big reason we reached out to you. We gotta talk about it a little bit. Last episode, if you haven't listened to our last episode, go back and listen to it before this interview. Our Butts and Seats promo, Purge Night. Let's talk about the specifics, like what went into planning Purge Night, where'd the idea come from, what was your thought process? We love it.
So I guess for better or worse, Purge Night is my brainchild, and I know you guys had a question on here. It was like, what's the one promo you've never done before that you talked about? Well, before last year it was Purge Night for obvious reasons, I think. So we were kind of brainstorming one day. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. So we put it on a thirsty Thursday for us in April, which they're always hit or miss depending on the weather for us in minor league baseball, especially April's in the Midwest. So we're like, let's throw it on here. Let's give it a shot. We're going to call it Purge Night. We're going to create some attention. We have no idea how this is going to go. I do know my food and beverage director is going to absolutely hate it, and he has every right to. So the premise behind Purge Night initially was, hey, we're going to have, one full inning where we're going to allow all of our food and beverage is going to be free whenever the siren goes off. So we were kind of, talking about it. But like, a full inning seems like a long time in minor league baseball. Like that could take a while. So like, let's scale it back to a half inning. Yeah. Really push and promote this. So, at some point in time, randomly during the game, for an entire half inning, the siren's going to go off. And at that point in time, if people get in line and you're in line, all of our food and beverage outside of alcohol, of course, is going to be free. So we put it all in place, had it ready to go. It ended up being it was like an absolutely perfect Purge Night. It was like rainy and dreary and cloudy, and it looked like the apocalypse outside. It definitely affected our crowd a little bit that day, which ironically ended up helping us because had we had a full capacity crowd like we were expecting, it would have hurt us. It would have definitely been a learning experience. So we had it scheduled to go in the fifth inning. Somehow, some way, people started to figure it out. So we could tell we had a lot of college kids there, and they all started chanting, sound the alarm. They had this alarm going on, people in line. You could just kind of feel the tension. And we've got, the night literally started off. We have a live news telecast, and they're there, and they, for whatever reason, they started the live telecast during the national anthem. So we have a live news segment going during the national anthem, which is a total Purge Night thing to have happen. Yep. And so finally we're right, all right, guys, we're going to pull the trigger on this thing. So we ended up moving some things around, and we pulled the trigger, and I kid you not, guys, we played the longest half inning. We had 8 guys come up to the plate. We had a grand slam in the Purge inning. It ended up going 30 minutes. just hammered us. But it was a lot of fun, and it was a cool thing to try. I would probably do a few things differently if we did it again. I keep waiting for another team to go out and give it a shot. And we probably had, 15, 20 teams all across sports reach out to us and ask us how it went. And I'm like, yeah, it went great, guys. You should totally try it.
So if you were in line, you got the concession deal, or did you have to?
Yeah, if you were in line at the time, because we didn't want to penalize people for us being, having slow service, and that was kind of one of the issues. We were kind of hey, we're trying to funnel out all this food and beverage for free to these people. We're going to be prepping this stuff, and we're going to keep it as prepared as we possibly can, but I don't want someone to be mad hey, I was in line, when there was only one out, and because wherever I was at couldn't serve me fast enough, I didn't get my free food. So well, if you guys get in line, and then we had a certain cutoff point where, hey, once you got in here, this was it. And
gotcha.
Had lines all across the stadium. We did, a couple limited items where you couldn't get. We just had a couple of things that were pretty crazy that, we're not going to do these $20, beer bats and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, it definitely sold some tickets. It created a ton of buzz, obviously. It's one of the ones I get asked about a lot. And it's one of those quintessential minor league baseball promos where you're you know what? Let's just try it. Let's just see what happens,
So for the first time
there were
ever,
no injuries.
No injuries?
No injuries that I know of. I'm sure there could have been something. That was another one of our concerns too. Is hey, we have a ton of people here. We're going to sound this alarm off, and we're going to have tons of people just sprinting around and just have mass chaos. And I think fortunately for us a little bit, that kind of got pushed to the side because people had an idea of when it was coming, so they were already up in the concourse ready to go.
Wow. Yeah, so for the first time ever on Last Place Podcast, confirmed it did put butts in seats.
Butts in seats, yes.
Yes.
It
big
did
yes.
work.
Perfect.
So you did kind of mention this question earlier, but what other funny or kind of crazy promos you have thought about doing, then you're kind of no thanks.
Yeah, I was thinking about this question when you guys sent it over, and Purge Night was always the one where we're that was probably as far to the limit as we could possibly get. We've pretty much tried just about everything in Lansing. I had a promo we were going to do in Johnson City when I was there. Obviously, when everyone thinks of Johnson City, Tennessee, you think of the song Wagon Wheel.
No.
We changed our yep.
Raleigh.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
How about Mountain Dew?
we had this grand aspiration where we changed our team name to the Wagon Wheels. We had some great feedback and great support from Old Crow Medicine Show, who wrote the song. We wanted to build the world's largest wagon wheel and have it there in the stadium and have it just be permanent there. And we kind of went out and said we're going to do this. Then we never really looked into how large is the world's largest wagon wheel right now. And we realized it ended up being, it was like some astronomical number that was over in like the Dakotas that someone had this giant wagon wheel. Like, guys, there's no way we're going to be able to build this thing. And we started and got some people, and we're like, yeah, this thing's going to cost us like $50,000 to build this giant wagon wheel. So we ended up aborting that one and kind of going a different direction. But other than that, guys, I mean, that's one thing I tell people about minor league baseball that I've always really enjoyed is that we're able to trust by the thing for the most part. Not going to end up on the front page if it goes wrong. So we've put a lot of the crazy ideas into motion.
Now, prior to COVID, probably the biggest trend in minor league baseball is the whole changing your nickname for a day trend. Yeah. It seemed like if you weren't doing that, you were doing something wrong. Do you actually think that was successful? Like, did that actually bring in revenue?
Yeah, I think the changing the names and the jerseys and kind of really going with the alternate identities has really, really grown in the last 5 years or so. And yeah, guys, I do think that has been really successful for a lot of clubs. You find the right mix, especially on the retail side. There's been teams that have done 6 figures in retail sales just based on an alternate identity. And the one I always think about right now that I know is incredibly successful, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers changed their name to the Undertuggers for years. That was incredibly popular. Obviously, people know the Fresno Grizzlies and the Fresno Tacos, and Lehigh Valley with the bacon identities. A lot of these food identities have been really successful. I think they're so common now. They're actually, maybe getting less popular to the national mainstream media, but definitely from a local perspective, they still have a really good draw and give you a chance to generate some more retail revenue. Because, a lot of times people will have your home team stuff. If you change an alternate identity, they're going to definitely grab some of that gear. And, I think just for us right now, we did the Lemonade League and we did these, shirts and had a bunch of merch, and we sold a ton of it. And it was just different. And people want to see some things that are different, and if you have a local or a food, connection there too, it can definitely help.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned the Lemonade League. Can you just briefly go over how you feel that went and just kind of give our audience a brief overview of how that went down?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably sometime in mid to late May, we started preparing for the fact that there might not be a minor league baseball season. We had these negotiations with Major League Baseball, and we're like, we always pride ourselves on playing out every scenario and making sure we're prepared for everything that could possibly happen. So we're like, all right, guys, if we don't have a season, what are our options? So really started exploring the summer collegiate ball circuit and the idea. I kind of cut my teeth in summer ball and was very familiar with the financials. So started working through our college coaching connections, and a guy named Greg Kiger, who we just brought on, was very well connected and really was the architect behind a lot of the roster and player stuff. So started reaching out to people and essentially created a self-sufficient league inside our own stadium, kind of a local bubble per se for local college players that were within an hour radius or lived within an hour radius of the stadium at the time, and built 2 teams and said, hey, let's put together a 20-game schedule and let's just play the thing and try it and give these guys an opportunity. We were expecting, 20% or, in the thousands as far as capacity. And as I kind of mentioned to you guys before we got on this call here, that Michigan's never got above 100. So as we kind of were analyzing the financials, we're like, does this even make sense? And ultimately what it came down to was, hey, we have the ability to do this. We have the infrastructure in place. We owe it to our community to give this a shot and try it and offer this escape for people that can come out here and offer an opportunity for these players to play, and really increased our streaming capabilities. We ended up averaging about 4,000 or 5,000 people per stream and amplified our broadcast. And people were just hungry for some baseball, and building it locally like that was a lot of success. And we made it through 20 games with 0 COVID-19 issues from staff, players, or anything. And we had some great protocols in place, but I'm not naive enough to think that there's not a little bit of luck involved as well. And we were very fortunate to be part of the solution, not be part of the problem.
That's great. Well, congratulations on
absolutely.
a successful year. That's
awesome.
I've got a lot less stress now that we made it through the 20 games. So,
So you mentioned your time in Johnson City. Do you still live the Cardinal way?
So that was a tough question too. I spent obviously 4 years with the Cardinals and had a chance to meet a lot of great people and kind of see how they operated their business. And that's one thing I will take away from my time with the Cardinals was the Cardinal way. I truly believe is a real thing. They have a very, very methodical way of running their organization and kind of building their franchise. And I think the thing that I saw the most was how much they build from within, and they embody their minor league players, and they really say, hey, we're going to build you up, and if you do the right things and do things the right way and the way that we want to run our organization, we're going to continue to find opportunities for you, whether that's as a player, a coach, or administrator. And I always bring up the story of a guy named Chris Swager, who was a manager for me for a couple of years and just an amazing guy who's with St. Louis right now. But I remember my second year, he'd been in their minor league system for a number of years, made it as high as AAA, and was kind of becoming self-aware at that point that, hey, maybe I'm not going to make it. So, our hitting coach ended up going somewhere else, and in about 2 days, he was in the lineup in AA Springfield, and they called him and go, hey, you want to transition to coaching? He goes, absolutely. And the next day he was on a plane and came over to be our hitting coach. And then ended up being our manager the next year, was our manager for 2 years, won a championship for us, and kind of built his career. But he was a guy they identified early on in his minor league playing days that, hey, this guy could be a future coach and a guy that we can build around. And they do that all around. And, it's really, really cool to kind of see that. When I kind of came in there, I grew up as a Tigers fan. I'm kind of like, Cardinals, you guys whooped us in the World Series, all this kind of stuff, and then you kind of spend time around it, and you just realize, how much goes into it and how much they put into that culture, and just kind of building it.
Nice. So we mentioned you were at Central Michigan, fellow MACtion guy. So, we got to ask the questions that need answers. Did you ever have any interactions with Antonio Brown while you were there, or J.J. Watt while he was there?
I did. So this is some good stories. So I know J.J. as well. J.J. was only there for a year with us, and obviously, I will tell you guys a story that a lot of people don't know about, which is, J.J. committed to us at CMU. Just for the record, I did work at CMU here with the football program for a year or two, and was around the program. So J.J. committed to CMU, then I actually committed to Minnesota, and Glenn Mason was the coach at the time. And then Minnesota fired Glenn Mason, and then J.J. came back to CMU. But at the time, Minnesota, before they fired Glenn Mason, had commitments from J.J. Watt and a linebacker named Greg Jones, who went to Michigan State. So they actually had back-to-back Defensive Player of the Years committed to the recruiting class. And then they fired Glenn Mason, and Greg Jones ended up at Michigan State, and J.J. Watt ended up at CMU. So, but yeah, J.J. was a freshman tight end for us. You can tell he was just a great athlete. The plan was to transition him to offensive line, which I don't think he was a huge fan of. So he ended up kind of writing his own destiny and going back to Wisconsin. Antonio, spent a lot of time around Antonio Brown, and guys, I've got nothing but really positive things to say about Antonio. He obviously, I don't think people realize just quite what a crazy background he came from, especially from his family dynamics. And I just know him bouncing around to a lot of different homes and stuff. He's a guy that's been through a lot of challenges. I think for him to make it to the NFL and do the things he did as an embodiment not only of his talent but some of his character. I think he's needs to get reeled back in a little bit, and I hope he does, because he was great for us while we had him there. He was as dynamic of an athlete as I've ever seen. We did some testing, obviously, with the NFL Combine and the pro days and stuff, and his ability to go from 0 to top speed is an upper 0.05 percentile on the entire planet, I think. He was a heck of an athlete for us, and we were lucky to have him there at CMU for a couple of years. And I remember there was a whole student section that they called themselves Browntown that had a big sign over in the student section. Every time they catch a touchdown or before every game, we're going up to them and jump in there and give high fives and stuff. But dynamic athlete, and we were happy to have him there. And I do tell you a funny Antonio Brown story that I think maybe it was a little bit of foreshadowing, but he definitely thought very highly of his skills. So he was very proud of the fact that the NCAA put a rule in place, and that the taunting rule that basically if you scored a touchdown on a play and you got a taunting, they got called back. And his play versus Indiana, where he burnt some guys and ran 80 yards for a touchdown, then turned around and started waving to him, was one of the plays they used in the video they sent to the players. And he was incredibly proud that he made that video highlight.
That's really funny. So that's the biggest highlight of his career then, is being on that video.
That video.
Yeah, at the time, I think, obviously, he got drafted in the 6th round. I remember his pro day. He told all the coaches he was going to break their stopwatches and stuff. And he had a certain aura of confidence about him that I think he carried over to the NFL. And that was one thing about Antonio was he was, 5'10", 170 pounds. When he was at CMU, not the biggest guy, but obviously very quick, but didn't back down from anybody, and had a supreme confidence in his abilities. I think he still does.
That's awesome.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, he for sure doesn't lack confidence.
No.
That's a fact. That's awesome. So the last question we asked all of our guests, what is your most controversial or hottest take? Whether it's sports, music, movies, anything like that. One of each.
Man, I think in our office, my most controversial take, and I might take some heat for this one, but when I moved back to Michigan, I just kind of forgot how bad our roads were. And I was like, we got to figure out something to do this. And I'm like, you know what? We should sell the UP. Let's put the Upper Peninsula for sale. Let's just raise some money here, and let's see Wisconsin or Canada, whoever wants to do it. There's not enough land trades anymore, and let's raise some money for our Lower Peninsula here to get some road money. And the Upper Peninsula is absolutely gorgeous territory. I love going up there and visiting. A lot of people don't realize how far it is. It's a 7 or 8 hour drive from the Lower Peninsula here, and a lot of the people in the UP are Packer fans too, which hurts me as a diehard Detroit Lions fan. And that's probably my other hot take, is that I think the Detroit Lions are the most cursed franchise in all of sports. They don't get talked about enough as far as being cursed. And they had the Boston Red Sox curse, and it's just crazy to think that we have an original NFL franchise that not only has never made the Super Bowl, they've never even made the NFC Championship game. They've never even been on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. So Lions curse need to be talked about more. And then obviously, tongue in cheek, the Upper Peninsula, if we could sell it and generate some major revenue for our state. Not enough land trades out there, but I say that.
Bring back land trades.
I don't want them to start coming after me here. So
That's
who knows? Maybe we get a great offer we can't turn down, right?
Yeah.
That is hilarious. It is funny. My fiance and I were in Wisconsin a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were driving up towards pretty close to the peninsula, or the UP. And I'm thinking, we're about to be in Michigan? How does this make any sense? I mean, it's just crazy. So, but I love it.
It's different. It's great territory up there. Obviously, you've got, Escanaba and Iron Mountain, and there's some really great cities and some great colleges up there. Obviously, Iron Mountain gave us Tom Izzo here in the state of Michigan for Michigan State basketball, and Steve Mariucci. And
yeah.
It really is gorgeous country up there, and I wish I could spend some more time up in the Upper Peninsula. And I don't know if you guys know this, but from being from Michigan, the people in the UP call everyone in the Lower Peninsula trolls because we're below the bridge. Yeah, you got Yoopers and trolls. So there's your Michigan geography lesson today.
Knock on wood, you don't have to create a bubble league next year, but if you do, or if you want to do a new nickname, the Trolls.
There we go.
Trolls and Yoopers. Yeah, we could just make it
Trolls
two
and
teams for that Lemonade League, right?
Yeah, another Lemonade League. Trolls and Yoopers. Oh, boy. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Tyler. I think we had a great conversation. We really appreciate you joining us, and specifically giving your giving us your firsthand insight on Purge Night. We love talking about that. If you love any of our insight from last episode, let us know. But thank you very much. We wish you the very best moving forward. Hopefully we're out of the woods of this virus come next baseball season. And again, congratulations on the great success of the Lemonade League.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for having me on. And it was great chatting with you and sharing some stories. And I expect all three of you guys to be doing your Purge Nights at your respective teams or colleges here in the future.
Of course.
We'll carry on the tradition.
If we get some spring MACtion, we'll shoot you some messages.
I know. I just feel we need some MACtion going on. I'm gonna miss the MACtion here. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
All
Tyler.
right, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you once again to Tyler Parsons for coming on the show, sharing some of his insight into minor league baseball, the creation of the Lemon League and Lemonade League, and then also talking a little bit about Antonio Brown, J.J. Watt. That was fun. Next, we'll get into our segments. Everyone's favorite eBay segment. Let's hear it, Anthony. What you got on Anthony's finds this week?
All right. So we will take it back, ironically, to the same Goodwill in Wisconsin, which I found those famous Michigan shorts, which we will discuss here in just a moment. I have an update on those shorts. But first, the find.
What is that?
Yeah, what the hell's that?
This is an Arena League Iowa Barnstormers jersey. Now, unfortunately, it's a youth jersey. Otherwise, I'd probably be wearing it right now. I guess I could still snug into it, but I'd have to cut down on the Mountain Dews. It is – I wish I could tell you it said Warner on the back because Kurt Warner famously played in the Arena League and famously played for the Iowa Barnstormers and wore number 13, which is kind of my selling point on this thing. Some dude named
Cardell Jones.
Some dude named Jones wore it. Big Jones guy.
Is that Danny Dimes?
I don't know. You know what? It is. You want it?
No, I'm good.
So, Iowa Barnstormers. Nice little Arena League football patch on there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, yeah. So, I guess we'll play the typical game of how much does it compare to? Now, I got to warn you, there aren't many comparables on this. But
you don't say.
You can try and guess how much I listed it for.
What did you buy it for?
$2.
This is going to be a big profit. Sam, I always go first. You go first this time.
One more interesting thing is, since we talk about butts and seats and marketing campaigns, giveaways, is I'm pretty sure this was a giveaway. It's got like an Iowa Barnstormers jock tag. That's kind of cool. Keep that in the back of your mind as you're making those marketing plans for whenever the hell we're going to play sports.
Sam, you go first on price. I've been going first the past 2 times.
I know. I like that way more. I'll guess $45.
Let's go a little higher. Let's go 60.
I really skewed your guys' thoughts in the past.
You did.
No, I listed it for $20, guys.
I was like, well, so we've undershot it. Hell lately.
I know. Sometimes you just got to get that quick dime instead of the slow nickel.
That's fair.
Let me mix that up. Fast nickel, slow dime. So sometimes you got to get that fast nickel.
Speaking of selling things, let's hear about the update.
Yes. Okay, so our first episode, the find of the week, were these yellow Nike Michigan Wolverines basketball shorts, Fab 5 era. Now, of course, they weren't game worn, they weren't anything, but the comparables had them listing $140, even ranging up to $200 sometimes, although mine were missing the string inside. So I listed it for $150. Last week, I am very pleasantly excited to announce as people post on Facebook, I'm excited to announce the shorts sold $150.
$150,
Wild.
baby. Put it in the wedding fund.
That was clutch. That was clutch. That hit the eBay goal for the month. So we are on path to pay for that wedding, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hell
We got to get a tracker on social media, like a bar that fills up as you sell things.
That's right. All those listeners out there, you can contribute.
Buy Anthony's stuff.
Since last week I shared a quick story of something goofy I sold. Last week we did the Wendy's toy. So let me just share one more for you. So this is when I first started selling on eBay. Tyler, I think, heard this story when it happened. I was cleaning my room at my parents' house, and on my desk there was a Chuck E. Cheese coin.
Yep.
And so I figured, I'll toss it on eBay. Sold for $3.
A Chuck E. Cheese token.
Like, what are we gonna do with that? You can't do anything. I mean, I guess just go to a Chuck E. Cheese, but like, just go to a
I'm
Chuck
gonna
E.
show
Cheese.
them. I got my token already, baby.
Well, it's either A, you go use it, which you're not going to get $3 worth, or B, you collect Chuck E. Cheese coins.
Which I don't want to meet that person. I'll say it.
Just
I don't want to meet that person.
filled with tokens from different establishments, like Chuck E. Cheese, a Dave & Buster's token. Like, jeez.
So,
That is an interesting one. Absolutely.
that is finds of the week. So hopefully the same. We'll get the same result, and the Barnstormers jersey will sell too. But we'll make sure to keep you posted on that. So let's go ahead and roll right into our top 5 of the week. We're very excited for this one. This was probably the one we discussed right away of doing, but we held out and saved it for the 3rd episode. So it is top 5 sports movies. We started with Sam the first 2 weeks. So we're going to go ahead and start with Tyler.
Oh, thank God.
Because I'm pretty sure my number 1 will definitely be on Anthony's list. Sam, your list is going to be interesting. If for those of you who don't know, Sam doesn't watch movies. So we'll get to him. So, all right, starting at number 5. Honestly, a classic for me, may not be on a lot of people's top 5s. Longest Yard, Adam Sandler. Had to put it in there.
Oh, the
Always
Adam
a great
Sandler version.
I
Adam
love that
Sandler
movie.
version. Yes.
That movie's hilarious.
Yeah. Funny, quotable lines. Great
Group up in the
cameos.
shower tonight.
Yeah, or not.
Or not.
Like, a great, I mean, Nelly was in it. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Goldberg. Chris Berman was in it. I mean,
Michael Irving was in it.
yeah, Michael Irving. I mean,
Hell of a
Terry
cast.
Crews was Cheeseburger Eddie. Easily top 5. Number 4, watched a lot growing up. Friday Night Lights. Really what got me into football, got me playing football and stuff. So big nostalgic feeling behind that one. Number 3, second best baseball movie of all time. Don't at me. I know Anthony's gonna be mad at this one, but Major League. Hey, you can't knock it. It's classic, instant classic. Number 2, a movie I watched a lot when I was playing some Little League baseball. We always had like an end of the year party. I felt like we watched this movie every single year. Rookie of the Year.
Oh.
Yeah. Love it. Absolutely love it. When the guy gets locked in the cage and he's like shaking the cage and he's got all the sunflower seeds. Every time. And the number 1 sports movie of all time, Miracle.
Oh. Miracle.
What?
Miracle.
Okay, so we need to edit my list.
Again.
So that is my number 1 sports movie of all time, Miracle.
All right.
Anthony next.
I'll go
Not too
next.
bad.
No repeats, Tyler. I had no repeats on my list.
Wow, I thought Miracle was going to be on your list.
No.
Okay.
Number 5. Greatest game ever played.
Ooh.
Golf movie with Shia LaBeouf. Watched it every year, all 4 years of high school, the night before tryouts.
Did it work?
Made it all 4 years, whether I deserved it or not. Speaking of golf, number 4, Happy Gilmore.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a classic.
Number 3, the reason why I've been a lifelong Notre Dame fan, although my fandom's tapered off a little bit since my checks get paid by NIU. Rudy.
Rudy was offsides.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, dude, Rudy's a bum. I'll say it. He's a bum. But it's fine. Go on.
Go ahead.
Number 2, this probably should be number 1, but that's okay. But I love my number 1 more. Number 2 is one of the greatest movies of all time, period. Remember the Titans.
Yep.
Yeah, never seen it.
And
Never seen Remember the Titans?
Dude, no.
It's very relevant today as well. So
Very
I highly
relevant,
recommend you watching it.
Okay, will do.
Number 1, my favorite movie of all time, Caddyshack.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. Wait. No, just 2 golf. Oh, no, 3 golf movies in there. Yeah.
3 golf movies. Well,
Okay.
I'm a golf guy.
Big golf guy. Big
Now, if
NFL
you're
guy
curious-
last week.
If you're curious, that essentially is my top 5, period. You just got to throw planes, trains, and automobiles in there.
Okay.
Okay.
I like it.
All
I like
right.
it.
Sam,
So-
Mr. Non-Movie.
Oh, here we go.
Tyler did mention I don't watch movies, so I only chose movies that I've seen. Okay?
Well, I would hope so.
I don't want to go cheap. And another thing, are we counting like documentary type things, movies?
Name it, and we'll tell you yes or no.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
So, number 5, She's the Man, Amanda Bynes.
Oh,
Great movie.
dude, she's the man. This is pure content.
Anthony just died on his couch, but yep, number 5, She's the Man.
Okay.
Number 4, Space Jam.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That was
see,
left
I've
off
seen
of
that
our
one.
list. Yep. Okay.
Number 3, Talladega Nights.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So number 2 is where my question came into play. Have you seen Icarus?
Yes. I
No.
have. We watched it in one of our classes.
It's about like pretty much how the Russians like doped up during the Olympics
Oh,
and like the whole process of how they did it. I don't know if we're counting that one.
I'll count it.
And
I've
Yeah.
seen it. I'll count it. That's a
Okay.
good one.
and then number 1, Tyler took Miracle. So my summon is Dodgeball.
Dodgeball, yes.
you can't just sub in your number 1. It's Miracle, it's Miracle.
Yeah, but we can't have any duos.
All right.
And my honorable mentions, He Got Game, Air Bud, and Coach Carter.
Air Bud.
Thoughts?
I watched Air Bud a lot as a kid. I enjoyed
Who
it.
did it? Everyone watched
mean,
Air Bud.
Top 5?
I mean,
you
he's
haven't
better
seen
than
all the
Rudy.
movies.
My thought is, on your 12th birthday, your family destroyed the family television, and you didn't have people.
That's what it sounds like.
So anything after 2006, you're like, I don't know.
I mean,
I
yeah,
will say
pretty
I
much.
will say one honorable mention that did not make my list that was really close was Tin Cup with Kevin Costner.
In Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my grandparents watch it every New Year's Eve. So growing up, I always watched it with them. So
That is an
Tin Cup, man.
unusual
Tradition there.
tradition.
it is. Yeah.
It's kind of like old people going to White Castle on Valentine's Day.
That's a thing.
Is that
That
a
is
thing?
the thing. I don't know why.
That's a Midwestern
I've always
thing,
been
dude.
trying to
There's
figure
no
out
way.
why.
That's
Yeah,
a
we also
Midwestern
don't
thing.
have White Castles here, so it's definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good thing. Your bathrooms are probably slightly cleaner. Okay, we'll go ahead and get into our third segment of the week. This one produced our interviewee for this week. So we'll have some fun with this week's as well. It is time for Butts and Seats. Sam, let's hear it, my guy.
All right, so this was the Atlantic City Surf in 2006. Obviously, Atlantic City, they're in Jersey. Probably Eagles fans. So just imagine there's a disgruntled wide receiver on the Eagles in 2006 that the fans were not a fan of. They did a Terrell Owens unappreciation night where fans got 2 free tickets if they brought in any Owens memorabilia, 81-cent hot dogs, and whoopee cushions with T.O.'s face on them.
Well, to ask the question, Butts and Seats, if you're a fan of T.O., would you go?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, if you're not a fan of T.O., you're going. Do you think it brought more fans of T.O. instead of
it could have?
Didn't like? Yeah.
I mean, 81-cent hot dogs isn't bad.
Oh.
And if you can get your hands on one of those old whoopee cushions with T.O.'s face, there's your Anthony's finds of the week.
I was just going to say, I bet that would sell pretty well on eBay.
Yeah.
That is interesting, to say the least.
I'd say Butts and Seats, yes. Butts and Seats, yes. Yeah, as you mentioned.
Yeah. I'll definitely say yes.
81-cent hot dogs, free whoopee cushion. You get some good.
Potentially free tickets.
81-cent hot dogs.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough for me.
So, yeah, Atlantic City. Sir.
Butts and Seats.
Butts and Seats, yes.
Cool.
Yes.
For sure.
All right, Tyler.
Okay, so I know Anthony knows this team, the old Quad City River Bandits. So it's 2010 in Quad City River Bandits history. This is not a single night. It's May 7th through the 10th. It was their Circle of Life promotion. Anthony, have you heard of this one?
No.
Okay, so they had a homestand from May 7th to the 10th, and the Quad Cities River Bandits celebrated the 4 major phases of life. So on May 7th was birth. You got a gift package for expectant mothers. Okay. Then on May 8th was school. So a 1-year scholarship to the University of Iowa was given away.
Wow.
May 9th was marriage. So an all expenses paid wedding package. Anthony, you could have used that one. Just walks off screen. And finally, they celebrated death on May 10th with an all expenses paid funeral package. So, the 4 stages of life. Oh, and in the words of their owner, Dave Heller, we want our fans to know that cradle to grave, the River Bandits have you covered.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I love it. I mean, so, butts and seats. So, 2 questions. Butts and seats, yes or no? And which day do you think would have had the most attendance? I don't know.
Probably the marriage one, no?
I'm assuming. I don't know.
I mean,
one-year scholarship.
do you think they partnered up the death day with like nursing homes, where like nursing home people could get in for free?
I'm sure they did it with a funeral home, dude.
No, I know that, but like, yeah, fans. No, not fans.
Oh man.
So, I
That's
think
not gonna work.
I think the most interesting day for fans would be the school one.
I agree.
I think a year tuition to the University of Iowa, all jokes aside, is probably the most – it may not be the most value when you count the dollar signs, but perceived value, I think that has the most, because everybody in their mind's like, all right, I got to pay for my kid's school. But nobody really sits there and says, I'm saving for my funeral. or I'm saving for my wedding. Besides me right now.
Yeah.
But like up
They just
until
sell
you
eBay to pay
get
for their wedding.
engaged, you're not like I'm saving for my wedding. Like nobody does that. But parents who have like high school students are like, I need a year of school for my kids, or the kids themselves, of course.
Yeah.
So I think, and plus you might get some Iowa Hawkeye fans to just come out. And
That's true.
I want my neighbor to go to Iowa. Let me win him a free year.
Or I mean, you may have all students from Iowa come out and be like, I'm getting next year paid, my junior year paid.
Very, very true.
Yeah, I think that's
Good
the
point.
biggest butts and seats right there. So butts and seats, all 4 days, I'm saying yeah.
I don't know about the other days. I just don't. Like the birth, like expectant mothers. I just don't know.
That was. What was in the bag? Did it say what was in the bag for the expectant mothers?
No, it just says a gift package for expectant mothers. I would assume like diapers.
How many pregnant women want to go to?
That'd be so expensive though.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening in Quad Cities.
Three of them. It's a great time, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
I think the honeymoon one and then the school one will be like the two good ones. The funeral, I don't know. I mean, you gotta do like a nursing home giveaway for that. Yeah. No one our age is going there like, all right, I'm gonna win my like free funeral.
But hey, if you did though, you'd be like, well, got that covered.
All right, my biggest thought is Circle of Life days. It's not Lion King related.
No, yeah, that's what I thought when I first read Circle of Life. I was like, "This is gonna be a big Lion King day. It's gonna be awesome." And then took a very unexpected left turn.
Okay.
So, Anthony, let's go ahead and hear yours. Butts and seats, mine. Yes, I can give it.
All right, here we go. The gentleman who's very much discussed in the sports marketing world, he finally makes his appearance on our butts and seats list.
Yes.
He is now currently at Penn State. He was at Georgetown. Chris Grassi.
Let's hear it for him.
He always has very creative ideas, whether they work or not. So at Georgetown, he had Hail to Kale Night.
Very
So this was at Georgetown women's basketball. The first 100 fans receive a free serving of kale. Free admission if your name includes the letters K-A-L-E. And you can win gift cards to DC's best kale serving restaurants. Hail to Kale Night.
So
Butts and seats, yes or no?
What is kale?
You don't know what kale is?
I know it's like a leaf.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a spinach or something.
Like lettuce? I don't know.
I don't know.
And what names? Wait, so their names have to have all the letters in them, or just any of them?
It has to have one of the letters.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought it was like all 4 letters. Like, what names are those?
In other words, we'd all get in for free.
Yeah, basically a lot of people. Butts in seats, I think it's so ridiculous that yes, butts were in seats. But did they sell the tickets? I don't
know. I feel like a lot of people could get free tickets with those letters.
That's what I'm saying. Like E, especially E.
Yeah, E and A.
Yeah.
Like all of us would be in for free.
That's the magic part of this segment is, okay, is it not only butts and seats, yes or no, but revenue, yes or no?
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I just don't see that bringing in a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
At all.
So you got to buy 100 servings of kale.
Okay, is that expensive though? Like, how much is kale?
I don't know.
Just go pick grass out of your yard. It's kale.
Yeah, I don't
know if that's kale.
They probably realistically had to go to Whole Foods and pay $10 a yard or whatever it is. Okay, so then you didn't make admission on everybody's name who includes the letters K-A-L-E, which if you include last names, that's practically the whole stadium.
Yep.
And you can win gift cards to DC's Kale restaurants. So I'm assuming they went and asked for donations for those. I'm not sure. They didn't name the restaurants, so they're not partners.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say you brought in extra people with the free
ticket. That too.
So maybe you sold concessions. Now, who knows what Georgetown's concession contract is? Do they have Sodexo? Do they have Aramark? Are they actually making that much revenue off of it? I don't know. You get a couple extra maybe people into a Georgetown women's basketball game. I don't know. I think realistically you only got a few extra people because of this. And you probably put in a lot of work to try and get those gift cards and find Kayla at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I say no.
No.
Yeah, I say no.
Yeah. So.
Because even if you did get new people in, then they didn't pay.
Right, because they got in free because.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 4 pretty common letters and names. If your name starts with like X or has an X, a Q, and a Z in it, then like yeah. I also don't know the amount of people. Honestly, I can't name one person right now that I know that eats kale. Purpose.
I think we're pretty big in the kale community, so we got to watch what we say here.
Big in the. If you eat kale, let us know.
Yeah, I think it was definitely playing into the whole like millennial, kale, Starbucks, basic, that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know. I still say no. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get Chris Grassi on here and he can discuss his multitude of fun marketing campaigns and see if they actually brought in revenue or not.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'd love it. We'd love it. So that is all of our segments for today. Thank you very much for joining for our 3rd episode of the Last Place podcast. Thank you once again to Tyler Parsons for joining us today in our interview. Great discussion with him. And we're looking forward to our next interviews with some folks throughout the sports industry. We're very excited to get them on and into the Last Place podcast. So make sure you subscribe. That helps our numbers. Make sure you share it to your friends and family. We greatly appreciate it. And we will see you next week.
See you.
See you guys.